Okay, we are trying this again. We are doing another live stream. I'm just kidding. This is the first one. There wasn't a live stream where I messed up. You don't know about that. Anyways, and as I begin again, my cat starts yelling at me. I swear to God. Every time I start something, my cat's like, "Hey, give me some food." It's like I fed you, woman. Anyways, I'm going to put this on screen here. And let me make sure it's unmuted so you can actually hear it this time. I mean, for the first time. And now, let me know if you can hear this. I'm doing this podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a live look into leadership where we go behind the scenes of the lives of entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners, and what were the experiences that shaped them into a successful person.
So
my name is Eric Howell.
What you didn't hear the first time, okay, I did mess up. This is actually the second time I've done this. But every podcast episode, I start with a template, and I go through and I delete the last episode from that template. So like this is last week's episode. I deleted everything out. I deleted all the automation. That way I can use the same plugins as I did for the last episode. So that way it has a consistent sound. Like you don't want to go in and mix a new episode every single time because every single episode is going to sound slightly different. But if you do it this way, everything's going to sound like you recorded it like the same day or whatever. And so yeah, and for this one, I throw it into Auphonic first, and I show you can look that in my school about Auphonic, but it just makes everything sound good, like right off the bat. So I don't have to do like a whole lot to it. I just kind of throw in a couple things. Like sometimes it can be too loud, so I throw in this declipper here, and what that does is like so if you're peaking, a lot of times we get too close to our mic. Like I'm probably way too close to my mic right now, and my voice will peak, and it'll kind of sound crunchy. And so I'll throw in this declip and it just makes it sound better. Oh yeah, for the TikTok people, Lola, if you're still here, I noticed something new on StreamYard. In the settings, in the audio settings, there's something called cloud recordings for each person. I think they just added that. And if we click that, I think it will fix our problem if it's not already fixed with the voice skipping or whatever. Because I can get a cloud recording for each of you. I'll get a screenshot and I'll send it to you in the chat later, but I think that might fix it if it hasn't already been fixed. Everybody else, if you're watching this later, I'm live on TikTok. If you would like to watch next time, I'm gonna be doing this probably at least 2 or 3 times a week. Hop on my TikTok, give me a wave, give me a nice hello, and we can talk. But anyways, for everybody else that are watching this now, if you are, I don't know why you would be. It's kind of boring. But the next plugin that I like to use is just a regular EQ. And what I do is I just take off some of the low frequencies. And let me show you what that sounds like.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a live.
I'm going to solo this out real quick.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a live.
And as you can hear, you can't hear it. So I'm just taking out all the low frequencies that you can't really hear anyways. And what that does is if you look later on in the plugins, I have a compressor. Oh, sweet. Great. But anyways, so all of these low frequencies here, I don't know if you can see that, they are going to be making the compressor think that it's louder than it is, if that makes any sense. And so if I just cut all that out, it's not going to be affecting the compressor. And so you want the compressor to do as little work as possible. And so if I was to not cut out all these low frequencies that you can't even hear, the compressor hears it, and it's going to make the compressor go crazy. And so before I even hit the compressor, I just lower those frequencies, and then I have a little blip here where I'm just
objects in the image, and it can differentiate one.
I usually take out around the 500 hertz range. Everybody's voice, that's like what you would call the boxy range. So like let me show you what I mean by boxy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a live look into leadership where we go behind the scenes of the lives of entrepreneurs.
I just kind of cut all that out, but as you can also see, like I only have like 3 little cues here. Like I'm not doing like a million like little cuts like this or I'm doing all this kind of stuff. Like, that's just going to ruin it, and there's no point.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to
There's no point in doing
Alive.
People are doing too much. It's simple. You just need to do like a couple of little moves. Most people overdo it. I'm going to be honest. But anyways, and then the next thing I do is this is called a de-reverb. And most people who are doing podcasts are not recording in a professional studio. Most people are recording in their houses. Like, I'm in my living room right now. I'm not in a sound studio. And so I have walls that are bare. I got bare naked walls, and I don't have like any kind of soundproofing in here. And so my voice can be a little bit reverby at times if I get loud. Now, it's not as bad because I got a dynamic microphone. If I had a condenser mic, it's going to be bouncing all over the place. It's going to be getting all of the reflections on the walls. But because I'm close to a dynamic microphone, it's not as bad. But still, there's a little bit. So I throw in this de-reverb, and it just kind of takes out some of those reflections in the room. Let me show you what I mean.
My name is Eric Howell, and today we are talking with an actor. So much.
Let me show you the.
Sure.
Can I look at this? Where is that at? There's a way to hear just the. Yeah, here's what the reverb sounds like just by itself. And like I said, it's not much.
Howell, and today
I don't know if you'll be able to hear that.
the artificial.
You may not be able to hear that unless you had headphones on, but there is like a little bit of reflections on the room. And then this right here is a de-esser. And actually, let me show you a really cool trick how I find the right frequency to cut out. And so what a de-esser does is those harsh sounds like the snake or like the T, like the tick. Those just hurt your ears. Those are like not good frequencies that you want to cut out. And instead of like cutting out all of those frequencies, so like instead of like if it was say it was like 4K, instead of just cutting out all of the 4K frequencies, what a de-esser does is it cuts out just those S's and T's as they happen. So you're not cutting out the 4K frequency in the entire file. You're just cutting out the when it happens. So let me show you how I do that. Is I'll take another EQ like this. I'm gonna grab another EQ here. And I'm going to find where I say an S or a T. So let me find that real quick.
AI master. So much of an
Okay, so
AI master, actually, that I think he might be.
There's an S right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight that S, and I'm going to do toggle repeat, so that way it'll just play over and over and over. Now, my S's are not normally that bad. You'll actually hear the S's worse in usually like a higher pitched voice. Mine isn't so bad, but let me show you what that sounds like. Let me go and turn off the original de-esser so that way you can definitely hear it. Check this out. Okay. It's super annoying. But let me show you. If I pull up that EQ on that, actually not that EQ, I want this EQ. This EQ? This EQ. Okay, watch this. It's going to tell me which frequency it's at. All right, so if we look where it was higher, that's where it is. It's like nearly 4K. That's normally where it's at, like anywhere between 3 to like 10K. So check it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my de-esser start at 3.6K. See, I already had it. That's what I already had. And this is just going to take care of a little more frequencies. I just leave everything else as is because this plugin just works great. And so there's my S is gone. And that just sweetens it a little bit. It makes it a little easier to listen to because you can get ear fatigue as a listener if you're listening to something with a lot of high frequencies. Even if it's subconscious, you're going to be like, okay, this is annoying and I don't know why. And so I'll cut out some of the higher frequencies just so it'll sound better and you don't get ear fatigue. Because with podcasts, you're listening to a podcast to an hour or more. And so you want it to sound at least pleasant to listen to for the listener. So let me take that off. Take that one off real quick. Moving on to, I just got another declipper just in case it's still clipping a little bit. And then this right here is called mouth declick. And I put this on literally every single voice. What it does is, as you're talking, you have spit in your mouth. everybody's got spit in their mouth. If you don't, maybe eat like a mint. But as you're talking, your mouth clicks and pops like, it's kind of like ASMR sounds, which I cannot stand ASMR. I'm sorry if you like it. I'm sorry if you do it. I can't handle ASMR. But what this does is it takes out all those little mouth clicks. And let me show you what this sounds like. Oh, hold on a second. Did you hear one right there? I don't have a lot of them. But they're every now and then. Some people are a lot worse than others, but mine wasn't that bad. Takes out the mouth clicks. That's all you need to know. Okay, so then the next one is I have my compressor. This is my favorite compressor because it's so easy to use. It's called the R compressor. And what I do is I just pick the voiceover preset here, and then I kind of pull down the threshold a little bit.
Heard. Say
until where it's hitting
convolutional neural network.
Until where it's hitting maybe like -3, -6. And so it's pulling down the audio by 6 decibels, and then I'm pushing it back up by 6. And so what that does is as you're talking, sometimes you talk really loud, and then sometimes you talk really quiet. And so basically what this is doing is this just pulling down where you're talking really loud, and then when I push it back up with the gain, that's pushing the quiet parts back up, and it just makes everything super even. Because that's another thing that can like cause ear fatigue is as you're listening to a podcast and it's not mixed, if they're like talking really quietly and then all of a sudden they get really loud, it's going to make you poop your pants. I'm sure there's been some kind of car wrecks where people were listening to a podcast and it was really quiet, and then someone just started yelling and they're like, oh my God, ah. That was a bit much. So anyways, and then, yeah, and that's pretty much it for that one. And I just do the same plugins for pretty much everybody. I kind of change it up here and there. Oh, so, okay, so for this one, for Quinn, she is a lady, and a lot of ladies' voices aren't as naturally deep as a dude's. And so I add this little bass here. And this is artificial bass. It's not like adding in the low frequencies with the EQ. This is like artificially adding the bass. And so it's kind of hard to explain, but you just have to hear it. It doesn't sound the same trying to add something that's not there. So you can't really add something that's not there, but this kind of adds it, I guess, with AI. I don't really know how it does it. It's like magic, but it just adds that deeper fullness, I guess what it is. It didn't really add bass, it just adds fullness to the voice. And so with mine, it's a little bit deeper, and so this way it's just kind of evens it out. The whole thing is, like I said earlier, it's just trying to prevent that ear fatigue, and I just want to make everything sound exactly the same as much as I possibly can. And so yeah, I've pretty much got all the same plugins. I got a couple extra, I have 2 de-essers. I did that because you don't want your de-esser working too hard, so sometimes I'll add 2. If you have a de-esser working too hard, you're going to make them sound like they have a lisp. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, snake. I have a snake. And that's what I'll do if you have the de-esser working way too hard. So I have one working just a tiny bit, and then I have one right after it working just a tiny bit, and that prevents that lisp sound, but it also kind of gets rid of those high frequencies. And you'll find a lot of times with higher pitch voices that they have more S's and more T's. So I just kind of cut that out. And this right here, this is called Soothe. It's my favorite plugin of all time. It's kind of expensive. I ended up getting it on a Black Friday sale, and that's when I recommend you try to get it, because it is kind of, this was like a $300 plugin. But what it does is it kind of works like an EQ, and it kind of works like a compressor, and it kind of works like a de-esser also. Like, it kind of does everything at once, but it takes out the frequencies that are nasty in real time. So like I said with the de-esser, it's going to be taking out like the 4K, 10K frequency, but not the entire audio file, just when necessary. And so let me show you what I mean here on hers.
Heard.
Let me play hers. Let me get to her file here.
Convolutional neural network, Quinn.
Also, Josh, I don't know if you're still with us, but I'm mixing your episode right now. Hey, Josh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the delta button so you can hear what it sounds like.
Convolutional neural network, Quinn.
And so it's just taking out all the frequencies in real time. And then again, I just have a compressor and an EQ. And I'm just, with her EQ, I'm not really taking anything out. I'm just kind of adding just a tiny bit more bass. And it's like I said earlier, I can't add something that's not there, but I did add something that's there with this R bass. And so I'm just adding a little bit more and then another mouth click. Let's see if her mouth clicks are worse. See if Quinn's mouth clicks are worse than mine. A little bit. Sorry. It's a little bit worse than mine. 20 clicks. And honestly, it would be a lot worse if I didn't run it through Auphonic first. So running it because it kind of makes everything sound pretty good right off the bat. Now, if I didn't have to use Auphonic, I would have like, sorry, I would have to use so many more plugins here in order to make it sound like I want it to make it. But with Auphonic, it does all the work for me pretty much. Okay, and that's everything for the mix. And as I'm listening through here, I'm just going to go through and just kind of cut out some of the silence. You don't really have to do this. I just do it just because. Like, see over here, there's a little, you can see there's a little tiny click there. I'm just taking it all out. Taking out all the crap we don't need. And plus, too, the way Reaper works, it actually saves you a little bit of CPU because it's only computing by what's actually playing. So if I have 3 playing at all times with all of these plugins, it might make my computer act a little strange. So I'm just kind of going through. I'll just go through and delete all the stuff I don't need. There's actually, I can do it this way. If I go to actions and then, where is it at? Show action list. I can cut it all with one button. If I still have it. I can't remember the shortcut for it, but basically there is like an action key where I can delete all of the silence in one go. But I don't know. I like to have a little bit more control with it. That word was horrible. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. Now I'm just going to go through and just content edit and take out some of the ums, take out some of the you knows, the likes. You know, if there's a place where we're thinking for a second, like for here, let me show you. I want to cut that. And you might have answered a little bit late. So
Convolutional neural network, Quinn.
So I'm just going to move that over. Another thing I want to show you real quick is this right here. It's called the ripple editing. And what that does is I can take one track and all of the tracks behind it will move with it. If I didn't have that on, this is what it would do. And I would have to move everything separately. That would just take forever. So I'm going to have ripple editing on for all tracks. And now I can move it all together. And let me show you how fast I can edit with this.
Convolutional neural network, Quinn.
Convolutional neural network, Quinn. I think I nailed that. I think I nailed it though. And that's all I care about.
Okay, so as you can hear, we're kind of talking over each other. So I'm going to cut out where I said that, and I'm going to cut out where she said that. Just kind of move it over. Do this. That way we're not talking over each other. Because a lot of times in podcasts, we talk over each other, and that's just not for me. That's for anybody. Because, you know, it's not always... Sometimes there's a lag with StreamYard, or sometimes there's not too bad of a lag, but sometimes there is, or, you know, there's people talk over each other. It's natural. But for the listener, I don't want them to hear them talking over each other, so I'll move somebody over or I'll cut out what somebody else is saying just so that way there's like a, you know, make it more streamlined, make it more listenable. So this is what it sounds like now.
Neural network, Quinn.
Do you know what that means?
I think I nailed it though. And that's all I care about.
You did it better than me.
That's all I care about.
But the real question is, do you know what it means?
Actually, okay, so that's also messed up. I'm going to do this, see what that sounds like.
Quinn. And that's all I care about.
You did it better than me.
I need that part. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to move this over. Now it should make sense. Let's see.
I think I nailed it though.
You did it better than me.
And that's all I care about.
No, it needs to be over some more.
Nailed it though.
You did it better than me.
And
hold on. Sorry, everybody.
it though.
You did it better than me.
And that's all I care about.
I don't like the way that sounds.
Me.
And that's all I care about.
Okay, so you said you would cut all that out. I think it's funny. I think when you mess up, it is actually better. So I'm going to leave it.
Nailed it though.
You did it better than me.
I still don't, but you're right. I don't really like how that flows. So I think I am going to cut this part out because it kind of flows weird.
I think I nailed it though. That's all I care about.
But the real question is, do you know what it means?
I'm going to cut that out too. See, this is why it takes me forever to edit because I have to decide on how I want the conversation to flow. So I'm going to make it sound like I'm cutting you off a little bit. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll make it sound like somebody else is interrupting somebody just so the conversation makes sense.
I think I nailed it though. And that's all.
But the real question is, do you know what it means?
I think that sounds better that way. Maybe a little bit like this.
And that's
but the real question is, do you know what it means?
no.
Okay, well, let me tell you.
I think you answered
I'm going to tell
quickly. All right, let's see.
No.
Okay, well, let me tell you.
Do I need to know?
I'm going to tell you anyways.
Oh man.
It's
okay.
a deep learning algorithm which can take an input image, assign importance to various aspect objects in the image, and it can differentiate one from the other. I mean, everybody knows that.
Let me show you this real quick. Also, that was hilarious. I'm so freaking funny. So here's a breath that's too loud. And like I've said a bunch of times, you don't have to go through and lower all the breaths like I do. And I don't do it all the time. I just do it for some of them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right before one side. I'm going to cut right after it. And I'm just going to lower it manually. So let's see if that sounds different.
Aspect objects in the image, and it can differentiate one from the other. I mean, image, and it can differentiate one from the other. I mean, image, and it can differentiate the image, and it can differentiate one from the other. I mean, everybody knows that.
It sounds like louder.
Objects in the image, and it can differentiate one from objects in the image, and it can differentiate one from the other. I mean, everybody knows that, right?
Okay, I'm going to put that into ChatGPT later and ask it about it.
Okay, actually, I don't know what that means at all.
The other thing is, something I've noticed with myself, I laugh a lot. Like, I laugh way more than necessary. So I actually go through and I cut out a lot of my laughing because it's like, man, I'm freaking annoying. So I cut out a lot of my own laughter. I'm not sure why I laugh so much. It might be a nervous tick. And that's another thing is I kind of lower the laughs too a little bit because if you look at the audio WAV file, it's kind of spiky. You know, it just doesn't sound as good. So I'm going to lower it a little bit.
Later and ask it about it.
Okay, actually, I don't know what that means at all.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But somebody who actually might know what that means is Josh Thompson. He's our guest. But somebody who actually might know what that means is Josh Thompson. He's our guest today. He lives in Green Bay, Wisconsin. In addition to his job in IT, he's involved in managing 3 businesses.
So something
crazy,
else that
with his wife, an AI learning community, a wedding businesses. That's crazy. With his wife.
Okay, now let's pause. Hey, Kevin, what's up? So something else that you said you feel like an NPC. Both of us will say, "Wow, I love that. That's great. Wow. How are you today, sir? Would you like to buy some bread?" Well, yeah, it's just like I'll cut out a lot of those like little pleasantries. What are those called? I forget what the word for it. There's a word for it, but I will. But I'll cut out a lot of that crap. What the heck is happening here? That's my thing off. My light's been off this whole time. You've been over here just looking at me all naked. Oh, I shouldn't say that on TikTok Live. Pretend I didn't say that. What were we talking about? Anyways, yeah, so I'll cut out the ums and the you knows and the likes that's great. And sometimes I'll just cut out those totally, and it might sound a little harsh or like a little mean. It's like you just answered, now I'm going straight into the next question. But I think it sounds better than us saying, I like that, after every single thing you say. So it's not just you, it's me too, and it's everybody else. Because we don't know else how to like answer their answer. Or, wow, I love that. Anyways, so let me show you. So here's another breath that I might lower. Like here, let's go through, lower it just a little bit. Lower some of those breaths.
Wisconsin. In addition to his job in IT, he's involved in managing
for
3
people,
businesses.
That's just getting here. I'm just editing this live right now. If you'd like to watch the actual editing, you can go to my school. But I'm just talking to y'all also. The only thing is, like, I don't have 2 monitors, so if you ask me a question, I can't really see it unless it's on TikTok. So I need to get a second monitor so I can actually see the comments. But anywho. Or I can get another phone.
Wisconsin. In addition to his job in crazy with his wife, an AI learning community, a wedding videography company, and a digital marketing agency. He also volunteers as a coach for high school football and baseball teams. Their family life is
like to save
super
constantly.
busy, as you can see, with their 2 kids who are 3 sport athletes, which keeps their schedule incredibly full. At the moment, he is dedicating his time to the Mastery in AI Marketing school community and the aim to be the go-to for beginners looking to learn.
Breath was too loud. Get out of here, breath.
The Mastery in AI Marketing school community and the aim to be the go-to source for beginners looking to learn and utilize ChatGPT effectively. He is excited about the opportunity to work with others by providing guidance on their journey to mastering ChatGPT and confidently embracing AI technology. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Man, I did that so good. This was the best intro I've ever done in my entire life. I wish I could always be that on. There is an AI breath editor. It doesn't work very well. I wish it did. The one in Alphonic works okay, but like I can show you. I'll show you one. It doesn't really work. Let me pull up the AI breath editor. I wish it did work. It would save me some time for sure. Let's see if this works.
Beginners looking to learn and utilize ChatGPT effectively. He is excited about the looking to learn and utilize ChatGPT.
That actually worked pretty good.
He is excited about the opportunity to work with others by providing guidance on their journey to mastering ChatGPT and confidently embracing AI technology.
That's actually working pretty
Welcome
good.
to the show, Josh.
Okay, that's actually working a lot better than I expected. I might leave that on.
So, Josh.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Finally.
Okay,
I know.
So
we ended up having to push you off a couple times.
I need to mix Josh's because that's too quiet. Bump his up.
You just do it though, and like I said, good thing we got.
Okay, so Josh is way too quiet. Let me take off this. Okay, so that's why. So for some reason, I had the automation still on, and it's like dropping it by like -6 dB. Should be good now.
You just do it though, and like I said, good thing we got. I got awesome.
I can hear a little bit of reverb in his voice, so I'm gonna pull up the de-reverb, and I'm going to let me show you how I do that. So with these RX plugins, they're kind of like AI, like editing tools. And what it's going to do is I'm going to press learn, and like the AI is going to like see the reverb, and then it'll reduce it. So I'm going to play his file, and then I'm going to press learn.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you just do it though. And like I said, good thing we got I got an awesome, loving wife that she helps pretty much manage.
You hear how much reverb is getting cut out?
Even when I got to be there, so life is.
Now you don't want to overdo this. Let me show you what it sounds like if you overdo it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you just do it though. And like I said, good thing we got I got.
I don't know if you can hear that, but it kind of sounds like some of his words are getting cut off. So I like to do it maybe just over halfway, maybe a little under, depending on how bad it is. But that's much better. Okay, so then I got that. Let's just look at his EQ here. Yeah, I'm just going to be, let me put the EQ higher. I'm just going to be cutting out some of the low frequencies. And then let's see what the S's are doing.
Like I said, good thing we got, good thing we got. Like I said, good thing we got.
There's an S. Let me pull up another EQ. Do the little de-esser trick again. And this is my favorite EQ. It's called FabFilter. I'm looking for a plugin that's free that does the same thing. But what's different between this one and other EQs is you can actually see the waveform in this. And that helps to visually find what frequencies need to be taken out versus just using your ears. Everybody says don't mix with your eyes, mix with your ears. I disagree. I think you should mix with your eyes and your ears. But let me show you. Okay, so as you can see, this is higher right here. So that's like starting at -4.2 to like -4. So I'm going to make the de-esser start at, see, it's at 5. We need to make it like hit 4. Maybe up to like 12. And now that should sound a little bit better.
Like
okay. I know that's annoying, but that's what I got to do to make it sound right. And then I save often. I save after almost every little move I do. So let's see. We're shooting for -16 LUFS. So let's see if we're there.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you just do it though. And like I said, good thing we got I got an awesome, loving wife that she helps pretty much.
Perfect. Can you hear it on the? It's on the I'm on StreamYard right now, Kevin, in my school community. If you can go on there, if you go up to the where I'm live, I don't know. Can you hear that? If you go on StreamYard, where it says I'm live in the school, there should be a StreamYard link where you can join. I didn't really make that clear enough, I don't think, but yeah, I'm on StreamYard and I'm on TikTok just for like everybody else. Okay, so I've got him at -16 LUFS. I got his S's taken care of. He's pretty much mixed and good to go. I got all of his reverb out of his voice. His compressor, let's see how much it's taken out.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you just do it though. And like I said, good thing we got I got an awesome, loving wife that she helps. It's crazy. I mean, you just do it though. And like I said, good thing we got I got an awesome, loving wife that she helps pretty much manage the household during all this craziness, so which is great. And I just kind of, she tells me where I got to be and when I got to be there. So life.
Okay. So everybody's mixed. Everybody's ready to edit. And so I always mix first. And then I start doing content editing. Just because that's just my workflow. You could do it the opposite, but this is the way I like to do it. So, okay. So I did the intro. Now let's do this.
Show Josh.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Finally.
BT and confidently embracing AI technology. Welcome to the show, Josh.
And actually, hey, Mike. Actually, I think Josh's voice is a lot more bass than mine. So I think I'm going to take a little bit more bass out of his, just a tiny, tiny bit. Or maybe bump mine up because it sounds not quite right.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Finally.
Also, it looks like there's
I know. We ended up...
take a little bit out of that 500 range too.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Finally.
I know. We ended up having to push you off a couple times, and I'm really sorry about that.
Hey, I totally get it, man. With kids, it's one of those things that, you got to pivot, right?
With you, I mean, 3 sports. Like, how does that even work?
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you just do it though. And like I said, good thing we got I got an awesome, loving wife that she helps pretty much manage the household during all this craziness, which is great. And I just kind of.
I'm gonna try that DS or that. No, you're good, Mike. Glad you're here. I got to try that new AI thing again. That new AI deep breath tool. That was cool. So I'm just gonna copy that. I'm gonna copy that selected effects. I'm gonna put it on Josh's. If this works every time from now on, I'm gonna cry because that's really cool. So I'm gonna throw this deep breather on here.
Crazy. I mean, you just do it though, and like I said, good thing we got. I got an awesome, loving wife that she told during all this craziness, which is great. And
I can't believe it works. It's gonna save me so much time. Everybody, shout out to Kevin. Everybody, you need to go to Kevin's school community, and you need to learn from this man because he just saved me some time. And that's his whole thing, is saving people time. Shout out Kevin. Okay. All right, back to
told during all this craziness, which is great. And I just kind of, he tells me where I got to be and when I got to be there. So life is good.
Same way. Mine runs the house. Okay. I'm just show up.
All right. So as you can see, I stutter. I stutter a lot. I don't know why. I've always kind of stutter. So I'm going to cut out where I stuttered.
Same way. Mine runs the house. I'm just show up.
All right. So I cut that out. I'm going to turn on the ripple editing again and move everything over.
Life is good.
Let me show you
Same way. Mine runs the house. Okay, I'm just show up.
As you can see, the audio right here is a little bit quieter than this right here, just a tiny bit. So I could do some automation on the volume, but I'm going to do it on the pre-volume, the pre-effects volume. Let me show you why. What this is it's going to be raising the volume before it hits all of these plugins. If I do just a regular volume, it's going to be raising it after all these plugins. And the reason I like to do before is that way I can actually visually see it on the thing. So let me show you. If I just did like a regular volume, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I can't see what I'm doing because I like to mix it with my eyes and my ears. But if I did it with the pre-volume, let's do a couple little automation points. There, I can see the waveform actually moving. And there you go.
Where I got to be and when I got to be there. So life is good.
Same way. Mine runs the house. I'm just show up.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn down this laughter a little bit. And then right here, I think I forgot what I was saying. So let me cut that out. That's awesome, Mike. Working on your newsletter podcast. Yeah, I think that's a great idea because it just saves you some time because like you can just do one piece of content and then just like build upon it. I love that idea of doing the newsletter podcast. I'm going to cut out. Actually, I'm going to lower my own laughter. The way this is, I don't really want to cut on either side, so I'm just going to do automation to lower it.
Mine runs the house. I'm just show up.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing is like really great things about.
I'm going to cut that out because I kind of had a weird breath.
All I'm hearing is like really great things about females, so I'm pumped for this.
Yes.
Let's go.
Hey, women are awesome.
So Quinn's is hitting -14. That's too loud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make her compressor hit a little bit harder.
All I'm hearing is like really great things about.
Now it's hitting way too much. Was it way too much? I'm going to put it back the way it was, and I'm just going to lower it with automation. You know the compressor is hitting too hard because it sounds like it's pumping. It's like, it just sounds not right. It sounds like your ears are stuck in a vacuum and it's like getting sucked out. We don't want that. Okay, so I'm just going to lower it by a dB. See if that helps. Usually does.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing is like.
Also, she needs to start talking a little bit sooner to make it flow better.
So I'm just show up.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing is like really great things about females, so I'm pumped for this.
Yes.
Okay, now it's
hey, women are awesome.
Now it's way too freaking quiet. I don't know what's going on.
All I'm hearing is like really great things about females, so I'm pumped for this.
Yes.
Let's go.
Hey, women are awesome.
Yeah. So, Josh.
Okay, did you hear that? It's kind of like an awkward pause. So, I'm going to move all this over.
Yeah. So, Josh, we always start our shows off with a little bit of an icebreaker. And when I was thinking about what would be a good icebreaker for somebody that's an AI, and all of it's like really new technology, it's all in like just recent times that we've been getting access to all of this information. So I wanted to ask you if you could send ChatGPT back to a different era, what would be a good.
Their comments are on, and it works. I'm pretty sure, but I can't see it because I only got the one monitor. So I'd have to like open it back up like this to see it. And then it does this weird thing. But I can see it. What? Jenna. It's mean. But anyways, back to this.
We always start our shows off with a little bit of an icebreaker. And when I was thinking about...
Okay. I'm going to make this bigger so I can see. That breath was a little loud. Lower it just a little bit.
Icebreaker. And
actually, wait, hold on. I forgot. I'm going to try that new thing. Try Kevin's new trick. Let's try it. And actually, instead of copying and pasting, I can just do this. I can just take the deep breath, hold control, and just move it over. Let's see if it worked for Quinn. This is going to save me so much time.
A little bit of an icebreaker. And when I was thinking about what would be a good icebreaker for...
I cannot right now. I can't even. I could never get this to work. And and then for some reason, Kevin's like, hey, is there an AI thing? And I was like, there is, but I don't think it works. And then I tried it, and now it works. All the wasted years. Anyways.
That's an AI. And all of it's like really new technology.
Okay, so it's actually right there, it sounded a little off.
And all of it's like really new tech. And all of it's like really new tech.
Why is it doing that?
And all of it's like really new technology. And all of it's like really new technology. It's all in like just recent times that we've been getting just recent. So I wanted to ask you if you could send ChatGPT back to a different era, what era would you send it to and why?
Yeah, so I thought long and hard, and I'm like, God, this, because thinking like the 80s, but I'm like, that's still fresh in my mind, and I'm
that's
like,
what
okay,
I thought too.
Maybe the 70s. I'm like, let's
right there, I'm cutting myself out because sometimes that's another thing I do that's annoying, is I'll throw in a little something while the guest is talking, and I'll cut it out because that's annoying.
Do like maybe the 70s. I'm like, let's go deeper and dive deeper. So I actually wrote down, I'm thinking like send them back to the Renaissance period, to where you had famous artists like Leonardo da Vinci,
okay.
Michelangelo.
Let's see if I can fix that for him.
Michelangelo, to where you had famous artists Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. Leonardo da Vinci.
Like that. Okay.
Just like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo.
That doesn't sound right. I'm gonna try something. Bear with me for a second.
Just like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo.
Still not sound quite right.
Leonardo da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci,
no,
Michelangelo.
Different tone. Sometimes I can get that to work where I can like splice two words together to make it flow. But his tone was too different, so it didn't work. I'm going to try this, though. I'm going to try lowering it just a little bit and seeing if that helps it flow better.
Where you had famous artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, the peak of their creativity.
I don't think anybody will notice that. You guys will because you heard me do it, but I don't know if anybody else would notice that.
Michelangelo, the peak of their creativity, also Shakespeare. So, just to be able to kind of see what they could do.
That sounded weird.
Also Shakespeare. So, just to be able to kind of...
That sounds like his internet went out. Let me take off this breath control and see what he actually sounded like.
Also Shakespeare. So,
Okay, so for some reason, the breath control, it took out where he said spear. I don't know why. That's what I was talking about. Sometimes it can be funny. Let me take that off. Is that what did it?
Also Shakespeare. So, okay.
So here's what I'm going to do. Let me show you some automation. real quick. So there's a little button right here that says automation, and I can automate any plugin. And so I'm going to press that, and it's going to pull up all this random stuff. So I'm going to go where it says deep breath, right here, breath control. And I'm going to do bypass. And now it pulls up this little automation right here. It's the purple. And right here is where it messed up. So I'm going to do like a automation point here and right here. And I'm going to turn it off.
He also Shakespeare. So, I mean, just to be able to kind of...
Why did it still do that?
So Shakespeare. So, I mean, just to be able to kind of...
make any sense. Is that not the plugin that's doing it?
So Shakespeare. So, I mean, just... So Shakespeare. So, I mean, just to be able to...
Hold on. Something's being funky. It should be turning off right here. Hold on. Let me move this over some more.
Be also just to be able to kind of...
I don't know what's going on with that.
So, I mean, just to be able to...
I don't understand. That should be cutting off. I think because I'm streaming on two different things, and also like it's my computer's using all this CPU mixing. I don't think it's wanting to work. That's weird. It should work. But anyways, we'll forget the automation for now then, and I'm just going to try messing with the target level. Let's bump it up.
Also Shakespeare. So, I mean, just to be able to kind of...
Or actually, let me turn the sensitivity down.
Also Shakespeare. So, I mean, just to be able to kind of...
But now it's messing with the breath.
Shakespeare. So, I mean, just to be able to kind of...
I just had to play with the sensitivity, that's all. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Oh, man. It's the little stuff that gets on my nerves that I have to mess with.
To be able to kind of see what they could do with ChatGPT as a brainstorming tool.
So this is honestly not how I normally edit. Normally I edit on like this, like 1.7. But I'm going to listen slower just so I can hear all the breaths, just to make sure it's actually going to work. But this is how I normally edit. I'll just watch this for a second.
Well, Shakespeare. So, I mean, just to be able to kind of see what they could do with ChatGPT as a brainstorming tool, I think would be, my opinion, I think that'd be pretty cool to see that, and maybe that would have sped up some of the technology that they worked on back then, like helicopter.
That's how I normally edit. Is I make them sound like chipmunks just because, I want to edit quick. And I kind of know what I'm looking for now.
Michelangelo, the peak of their creativity, also Shakespeare.
Okay.
So, I mean, just to be able
like
to...
I said, I normally cut out all the ums and ahs, but look at this right here. It's a little bit too close to everything else. So if I was to cut out that it would probably sound unnatural. We'll try it, but it'll probably sound unnatural.
Michelangelo, the peak of their creativity, also Shakespeare.
And it could work, but I don't like it. I'm going to leave it in.
The peak of their creativity, also Shakespeare. So, I mean, just to be able to kind of see what they could do with ChatGPT as a brainstorming tool, I think would be, my opinion, I think that would be pretty cool to see that, and maybe that would have sped up some of the technology that they worked on back then, like helicopters, writing like that.
I think we can cut this one, though.
Helicopters, writing, stuff like that, to be able to...
Let me cut out some more of that breath.
Helicopters, writing, stuff like that, to be able to use...
Oh, the freaking breath's being weird.
Writing, stuff like that, to be able to utilize that technology to say, ChatGPT, how does a helicopter... Is that technology to say, ChatGPT, how does a helicopter work and how can I get this thing to take flight? Or how can I write even a more... how can I write even a more play type of thing, or whatever the case is. And I'm like, oh yeah, I think that was interesting. That'd be very interesting.
Could you imagine Romeo?
I think that was interesting. That'd be very interesting.
Could you imagine Romeo and Juliet being from a ChatGPT?
I missed something here.
Thing to take flight, or how can I write even a more play type of thing, or whatever the case is. And I'm like, oh yeah, I think that was interesting. That'd be very interesting.
Could you imagine Romeo and Juliet?
I think that was interesting. That'd be very interesting.
Could you imagine Romeo and Juliet being from a ChatGPT thing?
Right, and maybe understanding what it actually meant.
Yeah.
Romeo, oh Romeo, let's delve into the...
I forgot that I said that. And I laugh at myself. I'm sorry. I'm that guy. I laugh at my own jokes. Romeo, let's delve into Romeo.
Being from a ChatGPT
Right.
thing.
Right, and maybe
There's
understanding
some weird
what it
noise.
actually.
I don't know if you can hear that. Is that from Quinn?
Thing.
It's cutting it. So yours is also cutting out some of your. I'm gonna turn your sensitivity down too.
Thing. Thing.
Okay, so it is a breath that it's trying to cut out. It's just kind of weird sounding.
Thing.
So what I'm gonna do is just cut it out myself.
From a ChatGPT thing. From a ChatGPT thing.
We'll do that kind of.
Yeah.
It's a fade.
BT thing.
That works.
BT thing.
Right, and maybe understanding
it's not.
what it
No,
actually.
no, it's Josh
Romeo-
just acting weird.
Right, and maybe understanding
What
what
is
it.
that? What even is that sound?
Right, and what it actually meant. What it actually.
Hold on. I'll take this automation off. I want to delete it. I want to take off this automation. I want to see what it sounds like without it.
Right, and maybe understanding. Right, and maybe.
Okay, so it's a laugh, or it's a huge breath. I'm just gonna take it out.
Right, and maybe understanding what it actually meant.
Yeah.
Romeo, oh Romeo, let's delve into the.
Yes,
Not that word.
yes.
Oh no, I lost my light.
But yeah, that'd be.
Well, I think this is when my light fell off because I was laughing too hard. Take that off.
Not that word.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, that'd be. Hopefully, they would learn that and got that from the school community and how to avoid.
Take all that stuff.
Word.
Yes. Hopefully, they would learn that and got that from the school community and how to avoid using those words. But yeah, no, that would be definitely interesting.
Man, if you can figure out how to get
Hello.
Definitely interesting.
Man, if you can figure out how to get it to stop using the word delve, you'd be saving me a headache every single day.
Oh, I know.
Well,
It's constantly
and I-
delve.
And I did notice as I was kind of.
I'm gonna cut out myself because I can. Because I added nothing to that conversation.
Headache every single day.
And I did notice as I was kind of show prepping myself here that now there's a new feature that popped up, and I believe it was out for a week now, but there's a thing called memory. And as I was kind of writing stuff, it was literally remembering what I was saying, and it was referring back to those things. So this is a new interesting thing that I got to dive into and figure out what exactly this is. Because then when I went into the memory, it says, oh, here's all the memories that it basically said that it was important. And then you could clear that. Here's all the memories that it basically said that it was important. And then you could clear that memory out too. So I'm like, memory out too.
I'm gonna try it, but probably not.
Clear that memory out too. So I'm like,
That works.
I wonder if I can put in there, use these words from now on, kind of like the custom instructions, but now with that memory that it'll use that building up. But stay
That's
tuned.
awesome.
Cool.
We'll find out.
Yeah. I need
I
to learn
just
about that.
learned.
That's awesome. Wow, I like it. I love it. Wow. This is so me editing is just me roasting myself, and that's just pretty much all this is.
No, but stay tuned. We'll find out.
I just learned about a thing that you can use with ChatGPT on a masterclass today with Kevin. You know how he's doing automation, and he talked about using Whisper. And I was like, when I first saw Whisper, I was like, when I first saw Whisper, I was like,
That doesn't
is
sound
this
right.
for? And I was like, when I first saw Whisper, I was like, is this for ASMR? And I
Right.
was like,
Oh no, You're whispering. It's making the automation, or making the deep breath act up. Or maybe if I just turn it up. See if that works. Oh no. My phone's about to die. I'm going to have to get off TikTok in a second.
Saw a whisper. I was like, is this for ASMR? And I was like, is this for ASMR?
Dang
and
it.
I was
Let's turn that off for a second. I'm going to try the automation thing in because I don't know why the automation's not working, but it should be working. Let's try, instead of doing bypass, let's try the wet. And what that means is like with Reaper, which is the DAW that I'm using, is you can change how much of a plugin is actually coming through. So you can do all kinds of cool tricks with that. So like it's mostly for like mixing audio, like music, but I'm going to try it for this. I'm going to turn the wetness down.
whisper. I was like, is this for ASMR?
Okay,
and
so
I
that
was
works.
like,
That works. That's what I need to do. Apparently the bypass is not going to work for me, but the wetness is. So we'll do that.
ASMR. And I was like, no, maybe it's not.
I'm actually going to turn it down right here too, because that kind of sounded weird. Yeah. I want you to go all the way up. And then I'm just going to lower this one manually.
This for ASMR. And I was like, no, maybe it's not
A little bit more.
ASMR. And I was like, no, maybe it's not for ASMR. And he told me it was more.
Something else I like to do for like a trick to cover up some weird cuts or weird breaths is I'll put something else over something. So where that kind of sounds weird, I'm going to move it over just a little bit.
ASMR. And I was like,
Oh,
no,
okay, so that's his acting up now. Man, this thing works, and it works great, but I'm going to have to do stuff like this every now and then. Let's turn the wetness down on his.
for ASMR.
Right.
And I was like, no, maybe it's not for ASMR. And he told me it was ASMR.
Right.
And I was like, no, maybe it's not for ASMR. And he told me it was mostly for getting like the transcriptions from things. You can use it for like TikTok stuff. And I was like,
Oh, I need that.
What happened there? What are you doing, bro?
you can use it for like TikTok stuff. And I was like,
Oh, I need that.
man,
Yeah.
I need to talk
That'd be
to Josh
helpful.
about that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, I need that.
man,
Yeah.
Also,
I need to.
That'd be helpful.
turning myself off again because we don't need that. We don't need to hear that. I know what Jen is thinking. She's like, please cut out mine too. Well, maybe you should edit it. How about that? I'm just kidding. Yeah. I do not like ASMR. I'm sorry.
TikTok stuff. And I was like, man, I need
Kidding.
to talk to Josh about that.
Yeah.
And I was like, man,
Yeah.
I need to
Kidding.
Cutting that out too.
talk stuff. And I was like, man,
Yeah.
I need to
Kidding.
talk to Josh about that.
Yeah.
What else can I
Something
do with it?
Right. Exactly. Something I need to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having to
As you can
constantly
see, I'm
use Chat.
way overdoing it, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
What else can I do with it?
Right. Exactly. Something I need to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having to constantly use ChatGPT for the transcriptions for this podcast. So like I'll stick after the podcast is over, I'll get the transcription and I'll put it into ChatGPT. After the podcast is over, I'll get the transcription. After the podcast is over, I'll get the
It's taking me a
transcription and
minute
I'll
to,
put it
like,
into
to
ChatGPT.
tweak this,
And if,
this new plugin. It's taking me a minute to kind of figure that out. I'm gonna turn the sensitivity down.
after the podcast is over, I'll get the transcription and I'll put it into ChatGPT, and it
is
does
it doing
everything
that?
for me. It writes out the show.
Why is it doing that, bro?
After the podcast is over, I'll
I don't know
get
if
the
you can hear that.
transcription and I'll
I
put it
don't
into
know what I'm-
ChatGPT.
I don't know if you hear
and
what I'm trying to do here, but it's cutting off and then it's cutting back on, or it's cutting on and it's cutting back off.
After the podcast
Okay,
is
that's
over,
better.
I'll get the transcription and I'll put it into ChatGPT, and it does everything for me. It writes out the show notes. I can ask it questions. Like it does everything for me. It's great.
Yeah. No.
But anyways, before about your childhood and all that crazy stuff, can you just tell us just a little bit about? It's great. But anyways, before we get into the other questions about your childhood and all that crazy stuff, can you just tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do with AI?
Yeah. So basically, in 2019, when ChatGPT kind of came out, in 2019 when in 2019. So basically, in 2019, when ChatGPT kind of came out, I was in the process of redoing our website for Josh Thompson Media. And I was like, okay,
you know what? I'm going to figure this out later, not on stream, where I can dial it in. I'm going to turn this off for now, just so I can figure this out later.
Josh Thompson Media. And I was like, okay.
That's why, because that was a really big breath. You know what? I'm just going to leave the breaths in, and I'm going to go back and fix that later. You know what? I'm going to leave it in this time.
Okay. I paid somebody to write me all my SEO prompt or all my SEO content and stuff like that. And it was pretty vague.
For the people in the chat, I am working on a podcast.
Like that. And it was pretty vague. I mean, it's just like everybody, you send it out, they give you that, they have that template, they fill in the blanks and so on and so on. So I'm like, oh, okay. Then I'm like, oh, let's just run that and say, okay, rewrite this with ChatGPT. And then once it kind of like spit out something that was like, holy man, that's when I'm like, oh, maybe this tool could be something bigger. So when I started diving in a little more, and at that time it was the free version, the 3.5, or I think it was like 3 at that time. So kind of playing with it and utilizing it, I'm like, okay, this time. So kind of playing with it and utilizing it, I'm like, okay, this could be something that I might want to start getting into. And then that released that paid version. And then with the GPTs, I'm like, okay. And then I met one of my mentors, Ray, GPT Ninja, that basically had a whole business plan of GPTs. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is exactly the route I want to go. Got those, kind of started playing with that. And I'm like, okay, now the power that ChatGPT can give you is like basically unmatched. But then it's seeing all these other people that are utilizing it and they're like, oh yeah, I use ChatGPT too. And then like you said, you look at the output and it's like, oh, delve into the world and embark on a journey. And I'm like, okay, all right. So you know how to use it, but do you know how to effectively use it? And then that's kind of when the whole, okay, January 1st, we're like talking with my wife. I said, I want to do something that we can create a community and build something that will help others. That's actually going to be good. And you're not just basically relying on it solely. You still have to use your brain. You still have to be involved, but it's going to help you brainstorm that. And now that's...
I don't know why, but in this podcast, I cleared my throat a lot. And I've had allergies for months. I can't get rid of it. I'm taking Allegra. It's not working. I don't know. I got to get rid of this phlegm somehow.
Use your brain. You still have to be involved.
Yeah, I like the bird sounds, but we're supposed to be getting cicadas soon. And I'm not looking forward to that. That's going to be annoying to get out of my podcast. But they're supposed to be the worst cicada. It's 3 different breeds or something, and they're all going to be... I have woods. I'm surrounded by woods, and it's about to be so loud. I'm not looking forward to that.
Use your brain. You still have to be involved, but it's going to help you brainstorm that. And now that's my goal, and that's our goal, is to teach people how to effectively utilize it.
That's great. And it's a free community, right? It's free. You don't have to pay to get in it. I've gotten so much value out of it's probably out of all the free communities I've been in. You give away so much just stuff.
Yeah, that's what I try. I try. And I think as we go on these questions too, you'll kind of see why that's the way we are. So that's definitely I feel if I can help somebody grow, that it'll come back to me at some point, some way.
So you run 3 businesses. You have
I need to move some stuff around. I can't see what I'm doing here. Actually, let's do this. Turn that off so I can see better. Answered that a little bit late, so I'm moving it over. Also you'll notice something in a podcast at the end of their sentence. Most people kind of seem to trail off like this. So it's loud, 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 and then it kind of gets quieter. I don't know why that is. Maybe people lose confidence in what they're saying, and they'll start to quiet down. So I'll just take some automation and just lower it up a little bit.
To me at some point, some way. So
you run 3 businesses. You have So you run 3 businesses. You have the digital marketing agency, you have the
Kevin,
wedding.
You said about the AI cicada filter. There's an AI bird filter, and it's really funny. But it's a plugin that is meant to take birds out of your audio files. It's pretty cool. No, the plugins that I use now, it'll be able to get the cicadas out pretty easy because it's just like one constant frequency. It should be able to get it out pretty easy. I'm just mostly not looking forward to hearing it in real life. Like I need an AI cicada filter in real life.
In some ways,
So you run 3 businesses. You have the digital marketing agency, you have the wedding videography, and then you have now you're doing the school community. So have you always had this?
Everybody, let's listen. Do you know what cicada? You know what cicadas are, I'm sure. People cook those here. They put them in flour, and they fry them up. I know, throwing up noises right now. Go ahead. It's disgusting. And I don't know if they're eating the actual bug or if they're just eating like the shells. They say it kind of tastes like pork skins, I guess maybe, because it's like crunchy and whatever. But yeah, I would not do that. My son likes to collect them though. Because they're all over the trees because they shed their skin, and so he'll go outside with like a little bucket or whatever, and he'll just start collecting all the cicada shells, and he'll play with them. But yeah. I'm back. So normally when I edit, like I'll take like 15-minute break. So I'll like edit for 15 minutes and then take like a 5-minute break or whatever. Just because like sitting down all day, like it's not good for you. Like you need to stand. Like I really wish I had a standing desk, because sitting for so long starts to make me feel bad. But I'm gonna keep going for a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna take a break, and then maybe one day get a standing desk. Back to business.
In some ways,
So you run 3 businesses. You have the digital marketing agency, you have the wedding videography, and then you have now you're doing the school community. So have you always had this in you to do like doing your own thing, like not doing a 9 to 5? Have you
asked that really bad?
To do doing your own thing, like not doing a 9 to 5? Have you always had that? Even when you were a kid, did you dream of having your own business?
No. So actually, as I was kind of reading through that, I was thinking, and it's like, I've always dreamed of making money, right? I was one of those kids that my uncle would say, could you shut up for a minute and I'll give you $1, right? Stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be quiet. And I'm making money. Absolutely. So it's kind of one of those that I always wanted to, money always interests me. What I needed to do with it, I have no idea, but it was like, oh, money. So then I started, but it was like, oh, money. So money. So then I started.
I'm gonna leave that one. It's too close together. Doesn't sound right.
Once I understood, okay, I can use this money and buy stuff. That's when I kind of started diving heavily into like sports cards and collecting cards, and then going to the shows and getting the cards, selling the cards, buying. Started that whole journey is realizing, okay, I can make money, kind of running your own business, being that card collector, and so on. And then as I turned 15, I'm like, hey, can I work at an actual...
So I'm just going to stop for a second and say something. I'm cutting out all the ums and the ahs. In Descript, you can do this automatically because you can just like remove filler words. And I can do this in Auphonic as well. But I don't know. Like when I try that, I almost find like I'm taking more time than what I'm doing now, because a lot of times it'll cut out too many ums, like that that I showed you back there that I ended up putting back. I feel like sometimes it cuts out unnecessary ones. It doesn't sound natural. And so I'm spending more time putting the ums back rather than just cutting the ones that I think should go. I don't know. So I just found this to be a faster workflow for me. But definitely try the Descript one because it can be faster. But I've been doing this one for a long time, and I'm just getting kind of quick at it. And honestly, I normally edit much faster than this, but I'm kind of slowing it down for y'all so you can kind of see what I'm doing.
Journey is realizing, okay, I can make money.
You can review them manually? Okay. I need to try that then. Because it's been a long time, honestly, since I played with the script. And I think back then when I was doing it, you couldn't. So if they can do it now, that's a lot better.
Journey is realizing, okay, I can make money, kind of running your own business, being that card collector, and so on. And then as I turned 15, I'm like, hey, can I work in an actual business?
That's awesome.
And that's when I kind of got into a dishwasher.
Yeah, the script is slowly starting to make me want to go to them because they got Squadcast now, so you don't have to pay for two things. They have the new thing with the content editing, which it actually do a lot of what I'm doing now. I think it can cut silences like I'm doing. It can automate a lot of the stuff that I'm already doing now. So I just need to honestly sit down with it and try to see if I like it again, because they're constantly adding stuff that's making me like want to try it.
Video games
but just like the act of learning it, like learning a new DAW, just makes me upset.
Getting more video games and doing this and doing that. And it's like, I got money now, I can buy stuff. So that was that next journey into that stage. And then after high school, I was like, okay, I could go to college, but I'm like, I just want to go right into the workforce. So that's when I kind of started my job as an IT and installing phone systems all over basically Northeast Wisconsin. But I'm like, I just want to go right into the workforce. So that's when I kind of started my job as an IT and installing phone systems all over basically Northeast Wisconsin and such. So, but not
what's
by
really
having.
Funny though is I know what an looks like. I actually have a T-shirt that has an on it right here because I know what the waveform looks like
and such. So, but not by having my own business was really never a thought at that point. It was just, how can I make money? How can I make more money? And so on.
Stop it, Kevin.
Wow.
Stop it. Swaying me to the dark side.
At that point, it was just, how can I make money? How can I make more money? And so on.
Well, I can understand that. Money's very enticing, especially as you grow up and you're like given a little and then you're given a little bit more. Given a little bit more. So if you started off in like IT and working. So if you started off in.
That doesn't sound natural either. I'm gonna try something real quick.
More. So if you started off in like a bit more. So if you started off in like IT and working for others, can you maybe often like IT and working for others, can you maybe pinpoint the defining moment or what influenced you to actually want to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So
an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So with that, and then so high school. So that's high school.
Let's try this.
Yeah. So high school. Met my wife.
That's probably our best option.
High school. Met my wife, or girlfriend at that time, Jen. So then she kind of, as we grew together, we were high school sweethearts freshman year. And as we grew, she was gone away to college. So I had all this extra time working my 9 to 5. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this extra time? Now I go to work, I punch the clock, I come home, and I'm just sitting. So that's when I started, okay, I'm going to create a brand. And I called it Chaos Designs. And that was our website. We created websites, we created graphic designs. My uncle raced off-road racing, so I kind of created the stickers for his truck, and then he would go and get those printed. I did his website, and that's when I was like, oh, this could actually be something. So then I started branching out and going after other businesses, and we started building websites and having my connection in the phone industry as I would go into a customer's site, and it's like, hey, do you got a website? They're like, oh, no. I'm like, hey, I know somebody that might be able to help you as I'm programming their phone system, stuff like that. So it's kind of one thing led to another, and I was like, all right, I like this. So with that website stuff, that's when I kind of started getting off. That's when I kind of started getting into my other uncle owned a hobby shop. So he had RC cars and stuff, such like that. And he had a nice track out there, but it was always like a weekend. Every weekend we'd go race or something. I'm like, what if we turn this into like a series? Because there's other tracks all over the series, because there's other tracks all over series. There's other tracks all over Wisconsin. And I'm like, let's go visit these other tracks. We'll call it, sticking with the Chaos Designs, I call it the Chaos RC Series. So we kind of, the Chaos RC Series. So we kind of, I headed that, I created that. I think we had 6 tracks at the time. And so that was kind of one of the, we had the website, graphic design stuff. So I was making a logo, graphic design stuff. So I was making a logo. Then with that, once I started diving into the website, I'm like, how can we get better, I want like better pictures, right? So that's when I was at the track. This guy had this big ass camera, literally taking pictures. It was long lens and like the motion was freezing. I'm like, oh, this is definitely, let's start figuring out the picture side of the world. And at that point, then I was so busy with that RC stuff that I was like, I'll deal with that another day. Let's just stick with the websites and the graphic designs. And then that's when we fast forward. Wife's done with college. I get married. We have kids. We're like, oh, such. We're always going to the big, get our family pictures taken and stuff. Married. We have kids. We're like, oh, we were always going to the big box stores to get our family pictures taken and such. But there was the one time that we scheduled, we had 2 back-to-back sessions. There were 2 15-minute sessions, so we should have had a half hour. Get to the store. They're like, oh, we're running to get to the store, half hour. Get to the store. They're like, oh, we're running late. We're so sorry, yada, yada, yada. I was thinking it was like 45 minutes to an hour after our scheduled time. They're like, oh, we're behind schedule. You get like 10 minutes. We're like, okay. Kids are crabby. Little guy's puked all over his shirt like twice. No. I'm like, now we're going to go take pictures. Come on. We're like, okay. Kids are crabby. Little guy's puked all over his shirt like twice. No. I'm like, now we're going to go take pictures. Come on. So that's when I'm like, okay, let's go let's just go buy a camera. Can't be that hard. We'll take our own family pictures. Well, that's when everything kind of like, oh yeah, it's not branding company, or company that we actually were making money that we could say, okay, yeah, this is actually a business.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of branched and stemmed off of that.
So the digital marketing agency and the wedding, that all kind of just goes hand in hand then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So then,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's kind of that nature of the wedding videographers that you start in wedding videos, you shoot videos, and then you just kind of gravitate into the commercial video side of things. And like, well, we know more than just video. A wife was kind of she was in marketing at a hospital, so she knew the marketing side of the social media and all that stuff. So we're like, hey, let's make this brand. Let's make another brand. We call it Inspire 45. This is our digital marketing. This is our commercial side of the house. So we have our wedding side. Now we have our commercial side. And then those two were...
All right.
Okay.
Everybody, I am at the halfway point of this episode. So I think I've been streaming almost 2 hours. I think I'm going to take a break because my back really hurts because I injured it doing some yard work. And so I think I'm going to take a small break. And then I may or may not be back later, just depending on what time it is. But thank you. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you learned something. Definitely go back if you want to see. I explained a lot of stuff in the beginning about kind of my mindsets of how I edit things and what I do. If you want to go back and watch that. But yeah. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to post my progress checkpoint. And yeah. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time.